5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Tony Galopin is a very talented rider, and a lot of people were after his scalp for last year. And I think it's a good move for him to get into a big team. He's sort of coming up through the ranks. He was spending a lot of time at Cofidis, and then he's moving on up. He's now at the Nissan Radio Shack team. Under 10 kilometers to go then here in stage 3 of the Tour of Qatar. Juan Antonio Fletcher, Marelio Fischer, Robbie Hunter. Good lead-out train for Tyler Farrar. You've got to see they've got a pretty good bunch of guys in here. Even there's a small amount of riders. Tyler Farrar,
I would say that they would have the strength at the moment. Looking at that front group, they have got strength in numbers. But that, you know, it's whether Farrar's got the legs today. Boonen looks fairly sprightly. He put some big efforts in yesterday, and I would say that you know, after winning the first stage the way he did, he has to be you know, one of the favourites. But just look behind. If they don't keep this going, this second group is only what, 40, maybe 50 seconds down at the moment. It'd be probably led by Liquigas, Peter Sagan's team, because they're not represented
they're not
at all.
No. Possibly with help from the remaining Katusha riders.
Yes, for Galimzanov.
And I'm wondering whether Lotto might be doing some work in there as well, because they've got Greg Henderson, capable of turning in a fast sprint, as we know. Well, there's a number of teams that really could help out Farnese Vini, if you wanted to look at it that way. They've got Guardini, Andrea Guardini. I'm not really sure what his form's like at the moment, Guardini, but he is fast when he wants to be. This time of year last year, he was pretty quick.
Yeah, the team time trial for them was fairly disappointing, so I wouldn't say that they've got one of the strongest teams here. France said, as you only have one rider in front, Boucher, so I would think that you know, they would be helping out the chase. But this is what happens. Everybody's seen this junction coming up, turning right, and you know, it was all put into the gutter, and if you're not strong enough, you're not going to make the front group. So these are the stronger riders, so for this group to come back, they're going to have to ride a lot harder than these guys. But for me, Adam Blythe there in the silver points jersey, just hanging on to the back of Boonen's wheel, because he believes that you know, he's the man. And just behind him you've got Bernd Iso and the world champion Mark Cavendish.
Yep, I think this is impressive from Cavendish. He's obviously got over his slight fever that he had, and he's just sitting in there very comfortably indeed. He's not really worried about anything at the moment. A good indication of the sort of riders who make it into these echelons. David Boucher is a great example. He formerly with Lambau Credit as a rider for many years. He's a typical guy that will go out in the classics against the wind, in a smaller team, and make that long breakaway at the beginning of, say, the Tour of Flanders or Paris-Roubaix or whatever it happens to be. He's that sort of rider. Now he's in a bigger team, FDJ, Big Matt. He's capable of riding with these bigger guys in different races, but he is a typical rider for this sort of stage.
Yeah, you can't sit back in conditions like this. In the Tour of Qatar, you have to be willing to make the efforts, and that's what psychologically a lot of riders don't think. They want the easiest way. They want to try and sit in the wheels. They'll sit in the gutter rather than make a bit of an effort to get to the front. The easiest way to ride these conditions when it goes into you know, cross winds and things like that is to actually go and do your turn at the front, because you do your turn at the front, you're maybe there for what, 100 metres, 200 metres max, and then you're on the wheels again. So it's actually a lot easier to make that effort to get to the front, to do your turn at the front, and you make it into the front group. So no surprise to me that, you know, some of the strong guys are here, the guys from, you know, the lowlands of Holland and Belgium, because this is what they're used to. So David Boucher, Belgian rider, is not afraid of making these efforts, and that's why he's in this front group, and no other teammate is with him for Française des Jeux.
Do we like the Tour of Qatar? This is, we're saying, I like it. I don't think it's dull at all, and there's some notables who do. Kath Wiggins likes it, according to Twitter. So does Ed Pickering of Cycle Sport. He likes it. And you're right, the dynamics of it are really interesting.
I think it's fantastic. I think looking at the crosswinds, maybe not the Qatar, this year's race at the moment. This is the first time we've seen it split, but some of the years gone by, I think it was when Cervelo Test Team came here for the first year, when it was splitting into pieces, and riders everywhere. That's fantastic racing. You see this happen in Belgium so much, but when you've got big long roads, big long straight roads, it's fantastic racing this echelon style.
I think what's great about this race is not for people like me, because I'm just a commentator, but for people like yourself, Brian, who've ridden in the professional peloton, it's a great opportunity for you to be able to explain to the casual viewer or the first time viewer or even the more experienced viewer exactly what's going on and why it's going on, because it plays itself out very easily in front of you. There's not it's not complex dynamics in that respect. You don't have lots and lots and lots of things going on, but you do have very definite things going on, and it's quite nice to be able to explain things to people.
This is just like a hilly stage in any major tour. The strongest riders always come to the front. The strongest riders being here, the riders that can ride on the flatlands. So as far as I'm concerned, this group is full of the strongest guys in this race. They're not like a climbing race. You've got all the climbers that come to the fore. So these guys are in this group of about 25-30 riders are the best guys in this race that can go very fast and very hard on the flat. And there's no place to hide when it comes to races like this. You've either got it in your legs or you haven't, and it looks as if a few teams are actually missing big time. So there'll be a few words in the team meetings later on, especially with the liquid gas team.
Rabobank, Omega Pharma, Quick Step, Nissan Radio Shack, and the last team in there pushing along. I think it's Garmin. First 4 riders here. They're really stringing them out now. 4 kilometers to go. Don't have to commit the enormous, great big lead out that you do in other races. They don't have the riders here in this front group as Tilingi moves over. Now, a rider like Cav, we'll see him just gently move up in the next sort of kilometre or so, but by the time we get to the last K, Brian, anybody who wants to have a shout with today's victory will be up in this top 15.
Oh, for sure. As we see Shark going across, everybody's waiting. The speed is really on at the front as we come up with 3 kilometres to go, and a few riders are just kind of hanging about, a bit of a bunching near the back. You see Tom Boonen, but they're just waiting for an opportunity to go on the attack. As we see Lotto here have a go near the front, and Shorabi is in the second place. He's the rider that's been up the road, the Iranian rider. Quite a good punch, 1-2 of the intermediate sprints at the moment. So just pushed into there, and nothing's really broken at the moment. So a lot of riders, this is a great opportunity as soon as these riders ease off at the front to go on the attack.
Little splits. Pace is high enough to cause a little bit of a problem. But they go into a roundabout. Will they get it back together again? Not too much of a problem. And back on the pace. But the yo-yoing of pace just causing a little bit of problem. Thomas Dekker slipping out of the back door just a bit. Martin Tilingi, he's done a lot of work. I mean, they're just hanging on, those two guys. They've done an awful lot of work up to this point.
Yeah, Navardaskus comes forward now, and it looks as if Garmin Cervelo putting 4 riders at the front. Sorry, Garmin Barracuda, 2 kilometres to go. So it looks as if they want to really put Tyler Ferrara in the best possible position, and it's going to become a sprint.
Yep, it's Navardaskus followed by Fisher, then Robbie Hunter looking over his shoulder. He's riding wingman for Tyler Farah. There we are. You see Farah onto the 4 back. Green Edge and move their way to the front. That's good. I guess they're going to be looking for Korospis. Now the fight goes on as the speed moves to the opposite side of the road. Katusha have a man pushing on the front here.
Ignatieff again, yes. Pushing hard.
Ignatieff with Omega Pharma Quick Step just behind the gold leader's jersey of Tom Boonen in the right position at the moment. Some riders beginning to struggle a little here at the back. Langeveld just slipping down a little bit now. Fletcher digging in to try and move Mark Cavendish up towards the front with a kilometre to go.
Yeah, they're having to do it from behind, and you know, they're leaving themselves a wee bit of work to be done. It's we come round this next roundabout, and it's slightly uphill, but it's about 600 metres all the way towards the finishing line, as we see Sky just sitting back at the moment with Bernd Iso and Fletcher, with Mark Cavendish just sitting there.
Cavendish in the world champion stripes slips up the inside and then moves to the outside.
Boonen's further back, and he's just coming up in the right hand side at the moment with Steegmans.
Steegmans is having an awful lot of work because Boonen was in the wrong position there. He's still on the wheel of Steegmans. Cavendish following Bernard Eisel at the moment. He's been boxed out just a little bit. Adam Blythe in the middle as Cavendish comes around the outside. Terrific turn of speed as Boonen goes for it. Cavendish is going to get on his wheel. Cavendish is going to come around the outside of Boonen. This is going to be one for the world champion, is it? Or is Boonen just going to get it? No, he gives up. And Cavendish takes the win. Well, the world championship stripes first over the line, and a beautiful sprint by Mark Cavendish. That really was good. As he came around the outside, terrific position. He got himself in exactly the right place. A little bit scrappy. Adam Blythe, I think, just a little bit lacking in that punch to get on the wheel of Cavendish. He was in the middle of the group and didn't really manage to alter his pace when he needed to. Boonen had a really good go at it, but when he saw Cavendish coming around on his right hand shoulder, he'd had to go for quite a long way, remember. He looks across, little look right, sits up. Cavendish comes through, doesn't take the sprint win. Green Age take a third.
Was it Krupis?
Could have been. I wasn't really looking at that battle. Could have been Cook, of course. Wasn't really looking at the battle for the third spot. I was just going to see how Cavendish did there. Terrific.
Cavendish, Boonen, Krupis. It looks like Renshaw.
Yeah, it is Krupis. Here's Liquigas leading in the next group with Farnese Vini. As we suggest, there could be somebody from them at the front. They're way off the pace though, so they missed out big time today. That was a great win for the world champion.
Yeah, fantastic. You could see I thought he was a wee bit too further back. No panic really. Decided not to follow Bernd Iso and follow Krupis, and
Shaw takes fourth, then Degenkolb, Farah missing out, Zelig, Boucher, Wagner and Kaczynski. This is the wonderful thing about Mark Cavendish. He's capable of engaging some extra gear somewhere.
We can just see him. Boonen knows that he was beaten.
Yeah, absolutely.
Slightly uphill, as you can see, and not as a fast a sprint as the stage one. Slight headwind today in the sprint, so a great win for the world champion.
Yeah, Team Sky and of course Mark will be very happy about that indeed, and rightly so. And Bernie Eisel worth his weight in gold, isn't he?
Yeah, no, definitely. You know, when you look at that size of that group, about almost 30 riders there, and having Fletcher and Bernd Iso there, that was it. When you think Omega Pharma and Garmin Barracuda had numbers.
Look how fast Mark Cavendish got up to the wheel of Tom Boonen. Just a little flick in and then around the outside. Boonen knew he was beaten. Krupis, good finish by him. Those three a long way faster than Mark Renshaw in fourth spot there. Renshaw has spent so much time being a super lead-out man for Mark Cavendish. Here then is the overall classification. Boonen hangs on to it, increases his lead over Tyler Farah. Mark Cavendish now at 8 seconds.